Well, so what I think is important to note is that just about every county right now is trying to steal your land. Not just trying, and they did. And they usually do it through tacit, non-consensual agreements. So when you signed or you registered to vote here, when you signed a marriage certificate, when you signed your children into the hospital, when you signed their birth certificate, when you signed your driver's license, all of these things are scams to not only steal everything that you own, your entire estate, your children, and your land. No, the way that they've actually stolen the land is quite fascinating. They just created an overlay of zip codes, then they claimed them. But the thing about it is they can't claim your land. Land can only be passed from one sovereign to the next. It cannot be passed to a foreign corporation. So what they're doing is they're claiming your land because you haven't, and that way when you die, they can take it from your heirs. So that's why we need to get a little smarter about operating in the private, setting up our own private trusts, and claiming our land. It's like far and away. All you need is a bunch of little, white flags and some posts so you can get your meets and bounds, and then you can claim your land, and therefore you can then pass it on to your heirs. So one of the things we're doing immediately for operational restoration is we're setting up a PMA, a social compact, wherein we're providing refuge for people that want to come back and get their land back from the county. We're talking 4.5 million people in Maricopa County, of which they have every single person, this right here, this Maricopa County Assessor's Office.
Which, Mickey, no one's here working.
No one's even here
all
working.
These, today's March 13th.
Your land, and they're just banking on the fact that you're going to die. And
they're all running around in there because they see us.
If I may, the way how it's done. So you have a land, you have a physical land that can be only described in physical meets and bounds. And when you go to purchase a property, let's actually wait for the gentleman to hear this too, because this is very important. I'm hoping that they have the So when you go to purchase a property, you have a realtor, right? And they show you the actual land. They show you the front yard, they show you the backyard, they show you the house. You walk through the house, right? You love the barbecue and say, yeah, I want this house. Okay, then they shove you through this escrow process. And at the end, they create deed of trust, warranty deed, corporate deed, or some kind of deed. And in that moment, what they've done, they taken the description of the land and they took you into a fiction, okay? Mm-hmm. And the way how they do it, as Mickey was saying, through the assessor. So when our country was invaded, they created this federal territory overlay on top of the land. So the actual land is described in the meets and bounds, which is done through the surveyors, licensed surveyors map. So you have one map that's describing the actual land in the meets and bounds. It basically tells you from this pipe to this pipe, there is so much, feet, then you have to go at that degree to the next pipe, and that's how you describe the actual. No, lawful description. There is a difference between that's a lawful description. The legal description is then when they take it at the end of escrow into the fiction, and that's the assessor's map. And they did it so they can assess the property taxes, because you cannot tax private land, but you can tax an estate, and that's how they do it. That they take the surveyor's map, they create another map through the assessor's office called the assessor's map. Yeah. And now this land is no longer described in the physical meets and bounds, but it's described through a legal description, through a new map that was created in order for them to take you in the, I call it the legal la-la land, okay, into the fiction. And you think you are buying a property, but no, you are actually buying an interest on their parcel. And the way how you know is just read your deed. In your deed, it will tell you that you are a tenant. How can you own a property and be a tenant? And how come if you paid all your property, if you paid for the house that you own, how come, let's say you get a disease and something bad happens to you and you can no longer afford to pay the property taxes, that the county can come and steal your house that it's paid for? How is that done? This is how it's done.
It's all done for fraud.
And people don't even realize that actually they are not foreclosing on the actual land, but they are foreclosing on a fiction, on APN number, which doesn't exist. It only exists as a creation of the mind. Okay? So the solution is people need to wake up and they need to make claim to the land that's actually sitting abandoned.
It's abundant.
It's
everywhere.
abundant.
It's abundant. This is how you win every war, is the land. They knew that. They knew they had to con us out of our land and keep us poor, and keep us poor generation to generation to generation, so that they could basically just steal our country. It's,
Right.
it's,
And Mickey,
it's
the
a
wor- the
slave
word-
insurrection. We are slaves, and we are all
And what's-
slaves.
The word mortgage comes from the root word mort, which is mortician, and gauge, which is wish. So a mortgage is a 30-year sentence with interest. It's a death wish, mortgage.
And they've drawn money from your
Mortgage.
sister KB Trust to pay for it. So there's no proof that the bank even funded it in the first place.
Because there is no money. There is no money. Money was taken away through the Emergency Banking Act in 1933. So if there is no money, they couldn't just take the money. They had to create a system. It's basically the credit system through the trust. You can only discharge, set off, or terminate the debt if you have no way to pay for anything. So what I like to really stress out to people is, if you look at all the foreclosures where people's lives were ruined, where families were ruined, people committed suicide for nothing. Okay, for nothing, because they left a land that they settled on. This is the American dream, that you can own a land, you can nurture the land, you can live from the land, and then you pass it to your heirs. Okay, this is the American dream that so many brave men put their life to, and we just gave it away. So this is really the call to people. You need to claim the land that you settled on. You are the settler. And then you basically have to notice the county, hey, listen, I am no longer participating in this federal territory overlay, and I actually would like to invite you, come and locate the APN number, come and locate your number on my property, because I think it's trespassing on my property. And of course, they won't be able to, right? So we can return the APN number to them, right? And once you return the APN number, it's no longer on your property. And should the APN number come back to your property, well, now it's subjected to $5,000 per day per person trespass fee.
Now, what you guys don't know about Lenka is that she is a de jure sheriff. That she is de jure sheriff of Southern California, and
what
she's
does that
brave.
mean?
It means that basically, as I was explaining to the corporate sheriffs down the hall here, is that they work for a corporation. Okay? So when people unslave from the corporation and they claim their rights and who they are, we call it the corrective status, that you are one of the people, which is the authority. Well, then you can appoint and elect your own sheriffs of the people, right? So that's the de jure sheriff, of the people, for the people, by the people. And to me, it just happened because I guess when the scamdemic rolled in and moms and dads were being arrested for having to wear muzzles to feed their families, no one was standing up for them. And so I was basically teaching people how to exercise your right, how to actually have your public servants to serve you, not the other way around. And so that's how I took it.
Can you imagine if every de jure sheriff acted the same? And how do you, we the people
It's
have to,
happening.
we the people have to stop putting loyalty and or authority to anyone who hasn't signed an oath of office to us. When you sign an oath of office to us and you're working for us, it is night and day. It's night and day.
And I can actually show anyone my oath of office, that's legitimate, and it's an honor to have it, and I'm just here to serve. I don't get paid. So this is all volunteering because I love freedom and I love America, and that's what I can
Is
do.
that
If we
California
don't have
Republic?
freedom, we don't have
California
anything.
Republic, that's correct. Yeah, California Republic, which once again, all these seats are sitting vacant, okay? And people just have to populate these offices, turn the light on, and start self-governing.
So
And-
let's simplify that. You have two governments. You have a de facto and a de jure. The de jure will never fail because it's set up by the forefathers. Okay, de jure is a republic. It will never fail for lack of a trustee. We just have to seed it. Guys, stop watching the fake, phony, false, fake news, fake government, fake everything, and start watching the real stuff. This is the real news. This is what real de jure sheriffs do. Okay,
Yes.
they work for us. On top of that, I have the land patent for almost all of Maricopa County, as in we pulled the patent, and now everyone can follow the process and procedure to simply claim your land and pass it down to your heirs.
Yeah.
So this really is the start of a new. We're out with the old guard and in with the new.